Welcome back, everybody, to the weekend show where I'll be updating and doing technical analysis on big mega cap stocks. So please slap that like button, and that's the only way you can repay for this video because I don't make any money from YouTube, and that's the only way you can support the channel. And if you're new here, definitely subscribe to it so you don't miss out on any other videos that I post. Now, if you're really serious about trading, and especially right now, there is a big opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity going on in the market, and there is so many setups I'm calling out long term and even short term. Definitely check out my link down below in the description for Patreon. Now, with that being said, Dow was down Friday 2200 points, huge losses. S&P was down in 2 days 10%. And right now there is news out there that 50 countries trying to negotiate with Trump. That is the news we got. So, it's a bit bullish, I would say, if, they come to that table and there is a negotiation that takes place. And, just like Vietnam, if it's, like maybe 5% or zero, that would be great. And, things can move on. On the other hand, we do have more tariffs that's going to actually take an effect Monday, tomorrow, and more on Wednesday. But let's just see how things go because if you look at my screen, things were not good Friday, guys. Nasdaq down almost, just consider, let's just say 6%, 6%, even 6% on Dow Jones, and Russell going down over 4%, and VIX going up over 51%. So, that is something to be aware of where this thing is heading. And if there is a rug pull on VIX, guess what? Market will see a massive relief rally, or you can call that a face ripper to the upside. Now, a couple of things I want to show you guys. Fear and greed index from CNN. Look at this. This is just insane. Reading at 4, extreme fear in the market. And I see it, well, this video is not going to tell you guys that, hey, there is a crash. I see, when you go on YouTube and even on X, every trader out there and, people that are making videos, extreme bear right now. They're shorting the market. Just, Black Monday and all kinds of thumbnail I see out there. I'm telling you guys, it's not going to happen. And then on top of that, Kramer, also calling for that. So you know how that goes. Now, couple levels I want to show, and I do have my stock market update here. If you guys want to check it out, and here's my X account. You can also give me a follow as well here. I don't charge any money for that. Here's some information on, well targets and dark pool here on Qs. You can see we went through that level 430. We're actually below that. Another one I do want to share right here in this video, that is Apple. That's a big name here. You can see it's under 200. So what if there is a snapback back over 200? That's going to push the market even higher. Also, on top of that, we have FOMC minutes on Wednesday, and then the big data coming out Thursday, the CPI, and also the PPI coming out on Friday. Stock market, you can see on Friday, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P, Russell all went down in 11 sectors. Everything in deep red. Look at that dump off that energy, had on Friday. Huge losses, guys. Almost 9%. Basic materials, 7%. Financial, 7%. And every other thing here is also red. Now, stock market map. Quickly, when I look at it, look at this. You don't see this type of move too often. Nvidia 7%, Microsoft 3.5%, Apple 7, Amazon 4, Tesla 10, Google 3, Meta 5. Look at Visa here 8, JPM 8. Even this thing, it was pretty much holding up. But Friday, BRK down almost 7%. And now let's have a look at Apple stock and see where we could be going next on Apple. On Apple, stock is down 7.29%, and that was not enough. Even after closing on Friday, it's bleeding again, down another 1%, down to 186. Now, how often you see these types of moves? Lower Bollinger Band sitting near 200 here, 199. and Apple stock trading at 186, and you're telling me it's just gonna crash and we're just gonna watch and this is it. Just buy puts, short the market, and go to sleep. I don't think so. That's not how things work. Things can go down a bit more. I get it, but this is a massive, and when I say massive, I mean it. Massive, massive opportunity to make millions of dollar in the market and maybe even more than that. So Apple stock coming down, that's not something that should scare you, but this is a big opportunity. And there are people out there, I see some comments even on the stock market update that, I'm short and I'm up a couple $100. What's going to happen if the market bounces $20? It can do that. It can do that. And if it does, I mean, imagine the losses you're going to take by shorting into the hole. So I think bears, they had enough. They might get another day or two, but it's coming. I can feel it. I can see when people are shorting the market, when there is a lot of fear. YouTube is blowing up with the Black Monday thumbnails. It's right around the corner. And then, in top of that, the biggest indicator, Kramer, talking about 1987 Dow plunging, at whatever that was, 22%. I was a baby back then, so I don't even know. I don't want to talk about things that I have not seen, but there was a massive crash, right? I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, Apple, the next big support to watch here, 185. If this thing comes down tomorrow morning, 183, and then 180 all the way down to 177. And there are some gaps down here at 173. So that's going to be a huge opportunity here on Apple if this thing gets down here. To the upside, if there is a snapback and this thing goes right back up, there will be resistance at 190, and over that, guys, over this level, it can push easily up to 198 to even 200, possibly even close this gap at 201.25, retracing and going back up and getting that face ripper rally. I mean, that is going to be a big rally from the lows and retracing lower Bollinger Bands. So watch out. That might be around the corner where Apple stock bounces back up to close this gap, and not to mention this huge gap at 221 from day before, which was Thursday. On AMD, it's down 8.57%, some massive, massive losses on AMD, also making a new low with some high volume buying. And you can see multiple gap down here on AMD. I mean, forget about these gap downs here. Recently, it was actually in that channel. We broke out, and now with the market condition, this thing did not hold. And now it's down to 85. And the next big support will be at 83. You can see we did get that bounce off of that level. But if this thing does not hold at 83, we could be going much, much lower. And AMD, again, I said it before in my video quite a few times from right here, that AMD, it's cut in half. More than half is gone, guys, from 227 down to $83. So if you're going long, this is it. And I'm telling you, AMD will be back over 200 once again. Time will come, and people are going to say, I should have bought some stock, and now, I knew it was going to go up, but I didn't touch it. I thought it was going to go down even more. You cannot just go and buy everything at the bottom. Nobody knows. I don't care how long you're trading and what kind of experience you have, or who's your guru, who you're following. There is nothing called I'm just gonna buy at the bottom. You gotta start somewhere, and then you buy until this thing bottoms. Now, I'm not saying you got to start at all-time highs and then you go buy after a 50% or 60% retracement. That's not the message. When you see things are really oversold, down about 60, 70% from the all-time highs, that is when you go and start buying. And if it comes down a bit more, just average into it, because your plan is to make money when this thing goes back up. And AMD, I think that's a fantastic opportunity. So now to the upside, if this thing comes back up, there will be resistance at 90, 93.64, gap fill here. That can also act as a resistance. And if we can get over that, you're going to see a move up to possibly 100 to close this gap on top. And then, I mean, this week's expected move, we'll talk about it, later on in this video. It's massive. So, I mean, this is going to be a week where people are going to lose money, people that don't know anything. and there's gonna be people, out there, they're gonna make lots of money because of that massive expected move in the market. On Meta, it's down 5%. And if you look at my screen, this was the previous, a low where Meta was holding around 500. We did hold that 500 range, cutting slightly under. And now it's down to 500 again, even after closing. So Meta 500 has to hold. If not, we could be going much, much lower, and I mean like maybe going down to 478, something like that, maybe even lower than that. So Meta, it's coming down, but I don't think it's time to buy Meta yet to go long. I mean, from $88 up to 741, and now only gave up like what, uh, like $200-300. So I don't think this is the time to go and buy Meta. But that could be a nice, overnight or maybe a couple days worth of a swing trade. That's there. Now, Meta here, that $500 support needs to hold. If not, we will be going much, much lower. You can see how low we can go right down here. And, from these conditions, this thing can also get a big bounce. And where things can go if we get a bounce, well, we gap down on Friday. So if this thing bounces and stays over 500, there is a good chance, and I mean it, there is a good chance it can bounce back up to 530 to 538 this week. I'm not going to say anything about that. You can see there is another massive gap. So at some point, it's going to come back up and close that gap on top. And I don't think, we even need this trend line, but I guess I can do this now since we're still in a downtrend. And you can see if this thing comes back up to this level, it'll close the gap and it will touch this trend line right now on Meta. So watch out, Meta might be making a big move next week. On Microsoft, it's down 3.56%, and the next big level of support will be right down here because we got some unfinished business and the gap. And you can see it's pretty much not even holding here at 364. We slightly undercutting that level and pretty much coming down here to maybe close this gap at 357, and then maybe even retest these highs down here at 341. So these are going to be the level of interest for next week, but things are getting really frothy to the downside, extremely, extremely oversold. Now, I know a lot of people, they have not seen, circuit breaker going on and, massive dump off like 7 6% in a day, and people are just running for the door. These people just traded, recently, and they have seen the bull market. It was going up every time you buy the dip. It was going up. So when there is a bear market or even a big sell up that is taking place, these are opportunities. You don't go and short into the hole. You want to wait for a stock like Microsoft to form a bottom or some sort of a zone where it's not going to go down that much and you can start buying. And I think it's heading down that route. And big opportunity is coming right here on Microsoft. Also, before we talked about it in my video many times over last maybe 5 6 months, that it's consolidating here inside this massive bear flag forming. And every time we come back down here to this channel, we went right back up, came back again, went back up, and then finally broke down with that. I think it was earnings. And since then, bear flag and then breakdown, bear flag and then breakdown. And the recent bear flag I had here, we also got a breakdown. So Microsoft now, if this thing is retracing, possibly going back up, going into next week and Monday session, there will be resistance at right here 367. Over that, you're going to see a pump up to 374 and then 380. On Amazon, stock is down over 4%. And if you look at my screen, guys, already below, this key zone here, 190. And now the next big level is 167. We already got there. Already got there on Friday. So Amazon is another big name. And I think this is a great opportunity if you look at it. I mean, you can see the volume here on Friday. Huge. From the lows, the dip was bought up. At least somewhat was bought up, right? So Amazon, I think, also a great opportunity if you want to play it back up to the upside, at least up to I would say 187, maybe even 200. It can happen on a weekly time frame. Definitely, we can come right back up. So Amazon 167, your key line in the sand here for Monday's session. Underneath that 160. But if this thing bounces back up and gets over right here, this level, 173, then we might see that push all the way back up to 180. And over that, I mean, don't forget about this gap on top. it can get there at some point on its way. There will be resistance at 184, and then this gap comes into play 187.66 on Amazon. On Tesla stock is down over 10%. So if you ask me, I think Tesla is doing okay. It's not that horrible. When you look at the market is down over $30, especially S&P 500. But Tesla is down 28 bucks. You know, a big stock like Tesla, we all know, I mean, this thing, the way the market's hold up, I mean, it could have been under 200 easily, but that's not the case. It's holding up and pretty much holding right here at 240. We're slightly below 240, and the next critical support will be down here at 223. So watch out for that, and then 205 to even flat 200. Also, we do have earnings coming up this month, so earnings season is almost here, and the market already, even the if the earnings are bad, I guess it's already priced in because what's the worst thing can happen from here? Market is down over 20%, well, at least on Nasdaq, right? And it just not where I think even with these earnings coming out this month and some next month, it's gonna affect the market big time. So Tesla here, if this thing can recover and recapture 240, we might see a push back up to 258 to 261 to close this gap to the upside this week. Netflix also taking a nosedive down 6.67%. And, I actually talked about it, shorting Netflix right here, I think, on this video. And the next day I did go in here, but it was only last Friday that my expiration 900 puts, they were last Friday. And I kept them until, Friday. And guess what happened, guys? I mean, this thing went up over 800%. That is just crazy move. Unfortunately, I don't have time in I sold. And now you can see, I mean, even though you're buying the dips, but if you're shorting that right thing at the right time, and I'll be looking to short maybe again because we talked about it, and now I see people are posting these, head and shoulder pattern, and we also talked about it in my channel, and that was like a week ago, where I said, I mean, it does not look great, but we have the left shoulder, head, and the right shoulder forming, and if this is where to play out, we take out this low down here, we can go much, much lower, and I'm talking about like 600 here on Netflix. So yeah, I might be going in even with earnings, possibly buying time, maybe shorting it. Couple contracts does not hurt because a lot of the things in the market are oversold. I'm buying those, and this thing is down, but not down to where I would say, hey, this is looking really good. Let's just buy Netflix. It's nowhere near there. Even Meta, same thing. So Netflix next key level 842. It's getting a bit frothy, oversold on shorter time frame. But if this thing want to come down and breaks under 842, it can go much lower. And there is no support until 773. So huge downside on Netflix. To the upside, some sort of a relief rally, counter trend rally. Something comes into the market and this thing bounces back up before earnings, which is not this week, it's the following week, then we might see a push back up to 900 to 904, which is almost or over $50 away from where the price is right now. On Google, stock is down 3.20%. So Google, another opportunity. And if you look at my screen, I mean, this thing is taking a massive hit. And now almost down to this gap, 144. And I think this is where it can actually find some ground. And why? Because if you look at my screen from 142 to this 147 range, there was a lot of consolidation back and forth chop. And then we got the breakout to a brand new all-time high. We had the correction before also, just like the one we're seeing right now. I mean, look at this, guys. From 194 down to 147, and then from 147 up to 208. And now, Google is coming back, and people are just scared and not really trying to get a piece of it. I don't think that's a good idea. Great opportunity again on a big name, and I think right here, if you're taking opportunities right here on Google stock, worst case scenario, if it comes down a bit more, you just buy more into it. At least that's my view. With your money, whatever you want to do, you can do. You can short Google if you want here, but that's just not me. I'm not gonna go and do that when things are getting extremely oversold to the downside. And even the RSI, I think, a bit oversold 28. So Google stock now, 148. We're barely holding below that 145 in the gap, kind of in line with the support. But if that gives up, it can go much lower, down to 142 to 140. To the upside, we get a bounce. We retrace up to this Bollinger Band 150. We can get over that. Watch out for a move and possibly a breakout from this bullish falling wedge up to 155 and then 156.53 to close this gap right up here on Google. And not to mention this gap, and this gap, which can actually happen at some point later on, not right now, as market is just going down, and everything is on a downtrend. So I said it at the beginning of my video that I'm gonna look at the expected move at least on the tech sector, which is Nasdaq 100 here on Triple Q, and look at this expected move for next week, guys. So to the upside, it's 451, which is kind of in line with this gap down from Friday. So that is a huge move. To the downside, I mean, look at this, 393, a big time lower low. Now you don't see these types of moves every day. And I hope that it goes down here. We can buy the dip even more, even at cheaper price. But I know maybe some people are holding position already and they went all in. It's not going to be a pretty one if that happens. So that's why you never go all in. But I just wanted to share that expected move is massive on Triple Q and even on SPY. I'm not going to show you guys SPY, but pretty much, same as this one. You can see it's trading at 422, and you can go up to it's a 30 plus dollar move almost right here on Qs and also on SPY. Now here on Nvidia, if you look at my screen, Nvidia definitely did not hold 96. It's trading at 94, and the next key zone is this August low right here at 90. Below that, at some point, we could be going down even more. There will be some support right here. You can see at 90, and if that gives up, the next one will be down here, guys, 75 to 76, and then the gap comes into play at 68. Does not mean that we're going there this week, unless things start to really go down really badly. From Monday, we get a massive gap down again, 20-25 bucks gap down on overall stock market. In that case, it can go there, and this is where I'll be buying Nvidia really heavy. Start picking up, maybe even pick up 1,000 shares immediately right there, and then add more into my position. Like I said before, I'm looking to buy maybe 5 to 7, maybe even 10,000 shares of Nvidia if this thing comes back, because it's been a long time. The last time I bought and held Nvidia and this thing took off, and I was not in that play because I got out. I think it was at like $300 plus, and I got out. They had the split. This thing ran again, huge run up, and I was not in there. So just because it's coming back, it does not mean that this thing cannot go back up. The market will rise again, things will go back up. It just people make things look like when things are coming down, it's not going to go back up, and when things are going up, it's not going to come down. That is just how we react to the market, guys. And that's all I have for you guys in this video.